iPads are the most minimalist devices I own. I do not download things lightly on either my Pro or my Mini, but that's especially true of my Mini. This could be a short video. It is a digital oasis because on my iPhone, I'm absolutely a maximalist. There are no rules there. But when I'm on my iPad, I want no distractions. So you'll actually find relatively few third-party apps that are on here. And the ones that I've subscribed have earned their place. I do think this is mostly possible because I already am a very heavy user of the native Apple suite. I use calendar, reminders, and notes to keep my life on track. And the primary reason I got my Mini is that so I could have a diary-like device that I could take around with me, access all of that here on a slightly bigger screen and with the use of the Apple Pencil. But there are a few extra apps that are pretty much non-negotiable for me. But before we go there, my name is Emily and I used to work at one of the UK's largest tech publications, leading up the video production. Now I'm no longer corporate, but still love doing it, so here I am, except it's a little more chill and I can talk about what I want. The first one will probably surprise nobody. GoodNotes. Admittedly, most notes do end up somewhere in my Apple Notes, but GoodNotes gets used when I have specific projects that I know are going to take up a lot of space, or if I just want a little more control doing multimedia stuff that Apple Notes can't really do. It's a tad more traditional than Notes, and I would say that it's a lot easier to use than Apple Notes. You have to get used to Apple Notes a little, in my opinion. Although my use of GoodNotes has definitely declined over the years. I no longer use it as my primary calendar, for instance. While Notes is getting really good, there's just something about GoodNotes that Apple has not been able to replicate, and so it stays. I've also got Notion, but I have been falling out of love with it a bit recently. It's kind of sad. All I've really been using it for recently is tracking my YouTube videos, but I suspect I might change that soon. I think a big reason is I've never really gotten on with Notion on the iPad. And I'm not really sure why, because I know plenty of other people who basically run their lives on Notion on iPad. I don't know, it's always been more of a desktop application for me, but I am fickle. I very well could be back in it in a few months, who knows. They do need to stop pushing all of the AI stuff though, that is really getting on my nerves. And now this next app is a little more niche. Scrivener. I've never really known. I'm a writer, I always have been, and I've been using this app for longer works for well over a decade now, and it is still the one I come back to time and time again when I have a long form project. I won't go too deeply into this because it is pretty specific, but like GoodNotes, it does live across all of my devices. Next one is Procreate. The name's not great, is it? But the app is wonderful. Again, this is another one that everyone loves, everyone recommends, and I really love it for its flexibility. Procreate is one of the few apps that I use for both work and fun. You can do everything from design to photo editing to light animation. It is just a must for me. My last productivity app on here is the Remarkable app, which is a companion app for the Remarkable devices. I switch a lot between my iPads and my Remarkable devices, and this app does blend things together pretty seamlessly. I can really easily transfer notes and files from my iPad to my Remarkable and back. I quite often like to read on my Remarkable versus my iPad, and also if I'm in meetings and stuff and I don't want to be distracted, I will take my Remarkable in just because I think it is a bit kinder to people, especially in presentations and stuff. I have a deep love for Remarkable products, and I probably will do some separate videos just focused on those, but it's very handy. Like I said, I switch between both my devices pretty often, and I would say that those companion apps tend to, I don't know, take a bit of a back seat, but it's always worked really well for me, and I've been impressed. In terms of entertainment, a couple of video apps live on here at any given time. I definitely do cycle through them. I would say I do most of my content consumption on my Mini. It is also my go-to when traveling. I always download a lot of stuff when I know I'm going to be traveling for a long time on airplanes, trains. I would not buy the Mini just for content consumption, but it is the ideal device for it. As for social apps, I don't really allow those on here, except for ones that I would consider informational. That's YouTube, obviously, Reddit, and Pinterest, though Pinterest is on thin ice recently. And the final non-Apple app that is on here is something called Quiche Browser, which is what I replaced Safari with. Unfortunately, I do think the iPad version of this app is only in beta right now. I have it through test flight because the developer kindly agreed to give me access. I already used the iPhone version of Quiche for a really long time and honestly can't say enough good things about it. Now, I don't mind Safari, but this browser is so customizable and you can really tell it's a labor of love. And I will always very proudly support independent developers that make stuff like this because it's just so cool. Anyways, the iPad version is shaping up very nicely. Very occasionally, I will download a game or two two on my mini, but that is always very temporary. I have enjoyed stuff like, I really liked A Little to the Left series on here. Those work really well with Apple Pencil, but those times are fleeting and none of those games live permanently on my iPad. And that's pretty much it. Am I really boring? But I want to be realistic about what I actually use my mini for at the moment. It's very functional. And even though it does have very little on it, I do use it each and every day. That's it for this week. I wanted to talk on something that was fairly easy because I have actually had a pretty busy week. Hopefully you'll see some of that video soon. All right, bye.